Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Knights of the Storm. Today is May 9th, 2026, the year of our Lord. And joining me today, I am Jason Barker, of course. Joining me today is the lovely Lady of Liberty, Karen Carpenter, as always. How you doing, Karen?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Great to see you, Jason, Ashley, and Brother Levi, as well as everybody in the chat today. Hugs all around.
Love it. Love it. And then we have the lady who keeps us sane in an insane world, Miss Ashley Think, Change, Repeat, with her new awesome show. Great episode the other day. I watched it twice.
Wow, thank you very much. And I just would like to say, as I've said before, if you are looking for me to keep you sane, then we need to have a conversation because I'm barely holding on myself, if at all.
Have you seen the rest of the world, Ashley?
I do observe from time to time. Good to see you, Jason, Karen, Levi. Happy to have you here. Hello to everybody watching live. And if you're watching after the fact, hello to you too. We appreciate you.
Love it, love it, love it. And then today joining us as a panel member is Mr. Levi Matthews. We call him Brother Levi, who will be at some point starting your own video channel. Maybe tell us a bit about what you got coming up.
Hey, Jason, thank you for having me on today. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I've been spending years breaking down the Word of God through the Hebrew and the Greek, and I'm going to be starting up videos on teachings, and we're just going to break through a lot of deception and a lot of things that people aren't even aware of what's going on. So that is coming up. I'm working on getting the format down. I'm working on getting, intros and things of that nature. So just want to say hello to everybody this morning. Thank you for having me here. Miss Karen, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here, and your input is always appreciated and welcome. I know you work very hard to bring things to people that is important, and so I appreciate that. And remember, Miss Karen will also be on Tiger Tales tonight with handling all the DJ duties. So she'll be taking your song requests on that, and she's a vital part of that. So come out and have a good time with Miss Karen and with Angry Tiger, with Tiger Tales on the DJ rack. And of course, we have their Miss Bright and Shiny Miss Ashley, who has her own show now. Congratulations on that. I hear it's doing very well. I've caught a couple episodes. It's been really, really nice. Of course, she's got her all-star cat lineup with Tommy. So hopefully he'll be here today. And I'm looking forward to the conversation today. I think we're going to have some great topics to talk about and expose a lot of garbage that's going on out there, and just have a good time and inform people, and uh,
Yeah.
I don't know
All
what
right. Well,
say.
you'll appreciate this. We always start off the show, or we usually start off the show with a verse of the week. So let's go ahead and jump into that, shall we? All right, I pulled this one off of like a meme style thing. I didn't do our normal thing, but and there's a reason for this. It says this comes from Acts 20, verse 35. In everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak, remembering the words the Lord Jesus himself said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I wanted to do something on charity because I just attended Scott Helmer's charity event that he had last night. And I will share a couple pictures on that here in a second after we go around the room. But it's kind of tough when you talk about charity because charity is very important, but a lot of people don't do it for the right reasons. And you could see it in prosperity preaching, prosperity gospel. It's like, if you give to this church, you're going to receive. No, you give of your own fruition, however you say that, and then you're rewarded by God, right? You're not necessarily rewarded monetarily. You're rewarded in other ways. you could be rewarded monetarily, but if you're doing charity for that reason, to get money back, it's not going to work, right? You need to do it because it's the right thing to do, and you get a lot more spiritually from that than I would say monetarily. And the reason I brought that up again is because the show that Scott did, and I won't go into the thing, but he's been kind of like attacked after he came on our show, and he went on a few other shows. Some people that don't like our kind of viewpoints associated that with his music and went and sabotaged some of his gigs he had lined up. So I know he's not, maybe he's not making a whole lot of money, but he's still doing it because it's the right thing to do. And he's a great guy, by the way. I spent a lot of time talking to him, and he has a great heart. So I don't know. I just wanted to know what you all's experiences were with charity, what it gives you back in return, whether it's feeling good about yourself or whatever. I'll throw it to Karen first. What do you got, Karen?
Well, I find that when I'm feeling kind of down in the dumps, or have the blues, or wishing I had things I didn't have, or company I didn't have, or missing people I used to have, or all those types of things, if I get out and help somebody, or first of all, spend some time with somebody and do something nice for somebody, even if it's helping an animal, a pet, a person, a kind word, a smile, all of those. It doesn't have to be monetary. I mean, you can help people monetarily, but it doesn't have to be monetarily. There are your time and your care, your attention is the most valuable thing of all, and what so many people are starved of these days. So I think that that's the golden rule, and applies to that. Treat others as you would like to be treated, and we all really enjoy a nice conversation, a hug, a smile, somebody who actually takes the time to listen to us and to spend some time with us. So I think of it that way. There's nothing more precious you can invest than your time into somebody.
That's so true. That goes to what you always talk about, your humanity,
Mm-hmm.
That's great, Karen. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that is a giving is foundational to, especially if you are in the liberty community, or in the anarchist community, or voluntarist. That is one of the biggest ways that we can support our community and support ourselves as well. So I try to do what I can when I can. If I see somebody has a GoFundMe, or somebody has whatever, because I believe in trying to help people, and hopefully they will help us if we need help later. And there's a lot of people out there that do amazing things. Now, I do believe in being, um, I don't want to say cautious, but do your due diligence about who you're giving money to, of course, or however you do it. But yeah, I think that we have a lot of opportunity in our regular day to day to do kind gestures for people, whether that's donating to a cause, or whether that's holding a door for somebody, or helping somebody with their groceries, or helping with cleanup, or feeding stray cats and possums. If you happen to do that, I'm just saying that there is, we have small opportunities throughout the day, and I consider that to be a blessing. And so, absolutely, I think, like what Karen was saying, it does help us, just to try to find those opportunities. I do find it feeds the soul in a way, my opinion.
It's beautiful. Levi, your thoughts?
Well, I certainly hold to the tenets it's better to give than it is to receive. And I think what a lot of people are sick and tired of is people who give to get, and those who try to extort money from what they give. As freely as you have received, you freely give. And I go by that. I never ask for money. I never ask for anything. Everything I do from the kindness of and love of my heart. And I think that matters most in Father's eyes. Are you giving with an ulterior motive, or are you giving because you know it's the right thing to do? And the word does say, if any brother sees his fellow man in need of help and has the ability to help, but does not, then how can the love of God abide in him? And yes, we must use discernment in how we give, okay? Because there are a lot of people out there who will prey upon your kindness and who will try to use you and gain from you and leech off of you. But it's not up to us. It's one thing if you discern this, it's one thing if you realize this, you cut it off, okay? But if you drive to an intersection and you're moved by the Spirit to give to somebody on the street, don't sit there and judge them and think, do they have a car over in a parking lot, and are they just doing this to panhandle and just, if you're in the mood, if you're being moved to give, just give and let it go, because they have to answer to what they do with what you gave before God. A lot of people don't take that into consideration. So I give freely as I have received freely from the Lord. I give freely to people. I don't ask for anything. I don't want anything. Okay. It's all about helping people, and it's all about trying to bring people closer to a relationship with the Lord.
Well said. Well said. In the discernment portion, everyone was saying that in chat. I want to throw this comment up on screen here, because we're not going to really go into the alien thing. I did have something on that, just informational for y'all to be able to go check for yourself. But America Unplugged really covered that this morning pretty well. So yeah, it says, I'll read it for those on audio. They are going to use the alien disclosure to say there is no God and we have to save our atmosphere and give up all weapons. Maybe. Oops. I accidentally hit another comment.
If I could chime in one thing really quick too, just on this discussion of as far as giving. Now, love him or hate him, a lot of people think that Dave Ramsey is out of touch with like the current financial environment in which we find ourselves, or that he preaches people to have zero debt while he understands the potential value of using debt as a potential wealth building tool, depending on how you do it. I'm not here to argue that at all, or argue anything really. But one thing that, because I found his work long time ago, and one thing that I really like that he does kind of coach people on is to deal with your own house first, right? Like have your oxygen mask on first and get your finances in good shape. And if you have the ability to pay off your house and things like that, then use that after that as an opportunity to give like never before. And I really like that approach, of having the goal. And I'm not saying don't give now while we're all doing whatever we're doing, but I'm just saying that I kind of like that there's people out there that sort of have this. What I like about his style is that he has the 7 baby steps, and each one he recommends the snowball method in order to pay off credit cards, but everything else is also kind of a snowball. So getting to the point where then if you're able to pay off your mortgage, then you have a lot more money to give like never before. And I really like that. So I wanted to shout out that kind of idea about putting yourself in a position to be able to give to other people. And I do agree with Levi. If people are scamming you, somebody on the street, then that they will have to answer for that in another way. That's maybe not for us to worry about.
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
My mom used to give to, I think it was an Indian, quote unquote, Indian school. And then she'd get blankets and Christmas cards and things. And then she found out that they were not honest. And my mom and dad, their philosophy was, if you give a gift with a good heart, with an open heart, and for the right reasons, what they do with it, that's that's on them. That's not on you. If you give for the right reasons and with a loving heart, with good intentions, what becomes of that and what the other person does with that money or that offering, that's their problem. It's not yours. So I think that's a good way to look at it. Although, of course, you don't want to throw your money away, but whatever you give, you have to be willing to let it go before you give it.
That's a pretty profound statement there. If you're giving it, let it go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my
A
wife
little
just set
levity
off her
here.
car alarm. I hope y'all can't hear that.
Little levity here. When I moved down to San Antonio, Texas, back in 2005, I came off of US 410, which is the inner loop that goes around San Antonio, onto San Pedro Avenue. And when I pulled up to the traffic light, there was a gentleman who was in a suit, and he had a sign up that said, please help, need money for jet fuel. And that always stuck in my mind, because here's a guy who's, I'm being honest, he's wearing a suit, so he's not, he's not far off, but he actually held a sign up that said, okay, help, need money for jet fuel. I thought that was hysterical. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, and I've never seen anything like it since. It's usually, help the veteran, or family isn't have a family of 4 not working. Can you give $20, whatever, things like that. But I've never seen anything like the jet fuel before.
That's hilarious. All right, let's jump into it. So I'm going to kind of dub this episode "Fear Not," and we're going to, because look, let's talk about everything that they're throwing at us as fear porn, right? We got UFO invasion. Maybe it's the government with Operation Bluebeam. We got AI and data centers, Palantir looking at everything we do, which we know that's true. But do we need to be afraid of it? I don't know. Killer robots, the dogs coming after us, and the humanoid robots and drones. Threats of nuclear war, World War III going on. We got killer viruses, which we'll talk about today. And I have to make some corrections on myself. I got to eat some crow today, and I will. And then famine. A lot of people talking about with the fuel shortages because of the Strait of Hormuz and stuff like that, that they're not going to be able, number one, the fertilizer, which Karen was one of the first people to point that out, that was going to be an issue. But also just trucking things around, shipping them from nation to nation, because we don't eat, the food we eat in the store doesn't necessarily come from here. It can come from across the country or across the world. So that's going to be some real problems, and there will be food shortages. But I don't want us to be that type of show that, oh, thanks, do not obey, just donated $10, says happy Saturday. Good to see you there, buddy. But yeah, we don't want to be a fear porn show. What we want to do is inform. Please go do your own homework. Use us as a leaping off point, and do your own homework, and then prepare. And if you are prepared, then you don't have to live in fear. And I got this, I rewatched Ashley's show from the other day with Billy Ray. And Billy, and matter of fact, I wrote it down here. When he was on your show, and Billy Ray, by the way, America Unplugged, Gorilla Underground, you can find him on Knights of the Storm website under the Friends tab, and he's on the schedule. So if you want to catch that, please go catch that. He'll be on tomorrow, Sunday. What time Sunday is he? Is it 8:30 at night?
Usually 7 p.m. Eastern Standard.
7 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Pacific.
There you go. I'm sorry, Karen. We always forget the Pacific times.
It's okay.
Maybe I should change that on the schedule to where I put Eastern and the Pacific, and then people can figure out in the middle, right? But anyway, he talked about COVID and, the fear, because he's in New York City, and New York City was one of those hot spots. And everybody was scared. There was bodies piling up. They were burying them in Central Park. I mean, all that stuff was nonsense, absolute nonsense. And, he had admitted that he was a little worried about, what do I do? Do I bug out of town? Do I go stay with a friend? But then he realized that he had enough food. I think he said he had enough food around the house to take care of the family for like a year. So he didn't bug out. He just stayed. So he didn't have to be in fear, and he wasn't, and he stayed there. And I think he had mentioned at one point that he come down with a fever, and he's like, oh, I'll shake it off or whatever. He didn't run to the hospital and get diagnosed and intubated and all this other stuff. Right. So that's the theme of this show, is fear not. And I'm going to go ahead and eat my crow now. I'm going to eat it right now. Talking to a friend yesterday, back and forth, chatting over viruses. And I think we needed to throw this out there before we get into the viruses later. But I've never said that viruses aren't real. I've always said I don't know, right? I don't know. I know something makes you sick, but I've always said that I think that they don't really know how they work. And all we can do, because we can't observe them like you can a bacteria, right? And I'm going to actually pull this up. I got some stuff to share. And I want to knock this out early because I promised that I would knock this out. My whole rationale behind it is, and I do know a lot about viruses because I had lived with somebody who had HIV, and that was a big thing in the 80s. And because we lived with her, they had to school us up on how it's transmitted and stuff like that. So that if some cut themselves or whatever, don't help me, don't touch me, don't get near my blood type thing. So, and then in the 80s, that was pretty big in school. They were teaching it. But my whole premise of saying, I don't know if it's real, I don't think they know how it works, et cetera, was because the electron microscope catches little fuzzy dots, and we really don't know what that is. We don't know what it's doing, and we can't see it in real time. I was corrected, and I'm going to say that I was wrong. Here is an article, A Way to Observe Viral Infection in Real Time, and this dates back to 2020. So maybe I was correct in my skepticism way back in the day, but since 2020, I was not. And I just was not aware of this. So, you know, we have to be, this is think, change, repeat style, as Ashley goes. You think about it, you make your assumptions, you can go do your research, be willing to accept that you're wrong, change, and then repeat. I love that, Ashley. That's perfect. But I'll read this real quick, and then we'll go around. I would like to go around the table and see where y'all maybe have gotten something wrong. Thank you. I'm Marty. What do they call a super chat? Is that the thing? Super chat. It says matching, do not obey. Thank you, Marty. It says viruses carry around an outer shell of proteins called a caspid. And I will get into this maybe later if I can. I don't want to take over the show because I know Levi's got stuff. But the proteins act like a lockpick, attaching and prying open a cell's membrane. The way they explained it to me in school, not school, but in my master fitness, is it's like Velcro. So that's why certain viruses only affect certain areas, like the lungs or something, or certain animals, because the proteins have to match. So it's like Velcro. It's the same way enzymes work when they break down stuff. That's why some people are lactose intolerant, because they don't have the right enzyme to match with the lactose. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. The virus then hijacks the cell's inner workings, forcing it to yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to make this an all day thing. Okay. And then if I go down to the bottom here, let me highlight it. This is where I was always living at. The problem is that these techniques, are an indirect measure. Okay. But, and I'll just paraphrase it. I'm going too long here. The thing is that they now have the ability to, so indirect measure, still shots, they're kind of assuming it's a theory on what these things are doing and how it works. I've always kind of been half and half on that, because the way that they have designed these mRNA shots work exactly like what they say a virus works like. So it's like, well, it's possible. But now I've learned that they can actually watch this in real time. So they can see this little speck that some people say is just some fragment of DNA, it's some garbage or RNA or something that was kicked out and the body has to detox it. So yeah, that was a valid argument if we can't see what it's doing. However, now they can, and they have been able to for a few years now. They can actually watch it go into the cell, be sucked in, replicate, burst the cell, and then there's more of them. So there you go. I'm eating crow. So I was wrong. So it's important to admit when we're wrong. And so I'm going to go on the record right now saying I don't like that they call it a virus. I would rather call it a toxin, because a virus is not alive. It's not a living thing, but it does have RNA or DNA in it. And when Levi and I do a deep dive, I have all the documentation on that. But anyway, I was wrong, and viruses are real.
And it's called a Rumble Rant. Rumble Rant.
Rumble Rant. Okay. The Rumble Rant. All right. Who wants to go first on this one to talk about maybe what I just talked about, or if there's something where, I'm sorry, something where you may have been wrong and had to correct yourself. And it's kind of embarrassing. It really is. Karen, you want to go first?
Oh, when I've been wrong?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think you're ever wrong, though.
No,
honestly.
I've been wrong lots of times, but I don't have that much of a problem saying it really. When I was really wrong and I wish I had not opened my mouth was when I first got into the conspiracy world. And I want to thank SMU Haskell Sam for telling me I look well. That made my day. Thank you very much. I had a rough morning. um, when I first got into the conspiracy stuff, there's a thing called the currency reset, and it was a big deal. I can't remember. It's 3 letters, and so they were trying to get you to buy currencies from other countries like Zimbabwe notes, they're called Zims, or the Iranian, the things from Iran. I can't remember what they're, dinar, Iraqi dinar. So I fell for that, and I recommended that somebody buy some of those, and it was a total scam. I was totally embarrassed about that. I was dead wrong about it. I never should have, but I fell for that. And that was when I first started into the quote unquote conspiracy realm. So it's really important to think before you speak, especially on a lot of these speculations and theories that we have, and to say, this is my opinion. And if you're going to give somebody advice about something, you better darn well know what you're talking about and do your research. And I don't mind saying I'm not sure, or this is what I think based on the research that I've done. So I think it's important that we always qualify ourselves, and things change. I think there's a lot of things generally that we don't completely understand that we may think we do. And even the experts, I think, are going on suppositions and assumptions quite often. So I was wrong about the currency reset and the Iraqi dinars and the Zimbabwe Zims. And I made a fool of myself, and I regret that.
Well, I mean, you're dealing with the information you're dealing with, and sometimes it's incomplete, and sometimes we base it off of something somebody else says, and that's a real problem in our community when it comes to the alt media. Is we take what somebody says as gospel and then we repeat it, when we should be going to the source. And we got to be real. I've done that myself. I'll admit it. Where I see something interesting and I'll talk about it, but is it true? Billy Ray's been talking about this a lot, about, I guess repeating stuff, but I think that we're heading in a good direction now as far as this team of doing the research, thinking, changing, and repeating. And with that being said, let's go to Ashley.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's already been said pretty well here that there is, it's a difficult time to try to keep track of what's what. We definitely have things that make sense to us. We need to understand when we are speculating and keeping the possibility open for us to be incorrect, and addressing that once we find that out. Understanding that beliefs that we hold currently are definitely subject to change if we are willing to have that. And then I think the other thing is just knowing about the information and propaganda warfare that we are exposed to all the time. And there's a lot of interest out there that they're interested in manipulating our thoughts. So whether that is to get behavior, to elicit certain behavior in certain situation, or to elicit a reaction, or whatever that may be, or to even get us to purchase a product. There are many different institutions out there that have an interest in affecting our behavior. So I think that is another part of our discernment that we, I don't want to say we, okay, that I do. I hope other people do that, or I hope that other people would find that game plan helpful. But I think that for me, that I always am wanting to continually hone my discernment, because I don't want to be manipulated. I want to understand what I'm seeing. I want to know the truth. And I try to leave room for myself that there is a lot of manipulation happening, and probably a lot of beliefs that I currently have that maybe aren't true, or that maybe there's like more nuance that I'm seeing. And so that's just how I try to approach things and take it from there, because the information warfare is extreme. The amount of information that we're exposed to every single day is absolutely incredible. And even if the smallest manipulation, for example, if you log on to Rumble, pull up the Rumble app, they already have the podcast that they're promoting that they want you to see and you to get eyes on and participate in and give them ad revenue. I see Dan Bongino all the time, right? So there's a lot of that. And maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's something. Maybe it's something to see, like, Dan Bongino, what does that do? What does that association have for us for some reason? Because we've got the suggested, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, like neuro-linguistic programming, right? So you see a word, you see something, and you have an association.
Subliminal.
Yes, yes, yes. And subconscious messaging. And we don't know how that's affecting us unless anybody is a subconscious, subliminal, and NLP expert out there. And if you are, hit me up because I want to chat.
Yeah, real quick, I want to throw one more thing in the mix, but I got to comment on that. We don't know unless we're willing to take third-party input. If somebody tells you that, hey, you're wrong on this, instead of pushing back, say, how am I wrong? And I tend to want to push back. But personal growth. Ask how you're wrong and then go research it again, change, repeat. But one thing before I throw it to Levi, and you ladies may want to comment on this as well. AI chatbots. They are kind of like the alt media is, as far as you can't change its mind even when you prove it wrong. And I've dealt with this in the early days when we started covering AI and chatbots and stuff like that. I messed around with Grok and ChatGPT, and I actually brought in valid arguments, most specifically on the Second Amendment and First Amendment, Second Amendment, and stuff like that. And I would get it to admit it's wrong, but then it would like jump through like mental gymnastics to tell me I'm wrong. And I think we do that on the right a lot, not the right, the alt-right media. But anyway, your thoughts on it, Levi, and then if one of you ladies want to talk about the AI side of it, how it's very similar to what we're doing, where we're getting programmed, if you will. Go ahead, Levi.
Well, my life has been a series of learning lessons, and I've been wrong before. I've been wrong far too many times in my life that I can ever recall. When I was young and I had a very tumultuous childhood, and at age 17, I was out on my own, and I was of the mindset and the heart set that I knew everything. You couldn't tell me everything, and it turned out that I knew everything about absolutely nothing. And I burned a lot of bridges. I not only burned a lot of bridges, I blew up the bridge abutments, tore down the toll booths, and ripped up 20 miles of highway on either side of the bridge that by the time I was 25, I didn't have anybody in my life because I had just, through being proud, being haughty, and thinking I knew everything, I pushed everybody away. And it took my relationship with the Lord Yahushua to change that. And he did truly change me. That he taught me to close my mouth and listen, not hear and listen. And when I started doing that many, many years ago, I realized a whole world of deception, lies, beguilements, bewitchments was out there. And I really began to hear what people were saying. But it took a long time for me to get to a point where Father would sit me down, and then he taught me certain things on, and you think you know, but you don't know. And that's the danger. And that's where going wrong has a great impact. And when you're dealing with such sensitive topics, you have to do the research, and you have to discern, and you have to really, really verify what you're dealing with. You know, one of the things I've been doing over the past week or so with this hantavirus is I've been monitoring the social media. And my God, we're going to get into this a little later, but the lies, the narrative, the vitriol, the resistance, it's a mishmash of AI bots purposely lying. It's people regurgitating the lies. Nobody's verifying. And when people bring out bona fides, they bring out tangible, physical evidence. Those people are eviscerated. And I've learned a very humbling lesson by that. I've been wrong on some things, and I've had to go back and I've had to look. I've had to soul search. I've had to look into my understanding, and it's been a very humbling situation. And so when I speak, I just don't speak for the purpose of speaking. I try to speak on power and authority and from factual basis. I've learned if you don't know, don't say. Listen, you'll find the truth out soon enough. It'll expose itself. So, have I been wrong in the past? Yes, I have. Do I regret being wrong in the past? Absolutely. Nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody purposely goes out and wants to be wrong unless your heart is so seared and given over to the evil one that you can tell, like Bill Gates, Fauci, RFK Jr., Trump, Pelosi, all the politicians, some of the judges that have called. Okay. I asked the Lord how to refer to these people. What do I call them? I can't call them the things that people call them, but what do I call them? And he told me, evil miscreants. And I had to look up the word miscreant to find out what it meant. And sure enough, these people lie with impunity. Their consciences are so seared, okay, it makes a burnt steak look like a nicely cooked filet mignon. And you can't just take what they say at face value. You've got to do your research. You've got to check the sources. You've got to check and check and check again. So I don't like being wrong. I don't try to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to mislead people. I want to lead people to truth, not my truth, the Lord's truth. Because everything else is just this world and noise. And I'm done with it. As far as AI is concerned, okay. AI is demonic technology. I don't think anybody can doubt that. But I look at AI, if you have your discernment muscle worked out, first off, you cannot escape AI. It is impossible for you to escape AI. AI is integrated into everything we do. If your appliances don't have it, your TV has it. If your TV doesn't have it, your computer has it. If your computer doesn't have it, your cell phone has it. You do banking, you're using AI. If you go and do a transaction in the store, you're using AI. AI is everywhere. So how do you navigate it? You can't trust the information that AI gives, but you can pick out tidbits that are inside of AI that can lead you to sources that can actually verify it. Now, are there things you can do with AI, okay, that do not require you to do wisdom and knowledge and information? Yeah, it can help you with graphics. It can help you do some music. And I'm not talking about music that competes with people who are actually playing instruments and bands or anything else like that. But, using the AI for the purposes of doing show intros or podcast intros or something like that, I don't see a problem with it. Because if you're going to have such a hard stance on the AI, know what it is, know what you can do with it, know what you can't do with it, and stay away from it in terms of using it as a source. But if it's a tool that can be used with CorelDRAW, with Adobe Illustrator, you're going to be using it, okay? As long as it's not hurting anybody and as long as it's not hurting you, okay, you can't get away from it. It's impossible. And I know that people disagree with me, but you have to, I feel you have to look at this wisely and you have to use and administer it wisely. But using AI for soul knowledge, you are going to be bewitched, beguiled, deceived, and you're going to go down satanic rabbit holes like there's no tomorrow. I really don't want anything to do with AI, but I can't escape it. So I can only limit it as to what effect it has on my life.
Yeah, that's a sticky topic for us because the resources and the energy and stuff required, even if you're using it for good, is still kind of borderline. But
I know.
anyway,
I know.
let's throw it back to the ladies and see if you have anything else to add, and then we'll go over a couple of. I got to deal with a JJ situation here. He's trying to get in, so you want to go ahead and go first, Karen?
Sure. I want to read a comment from Bronx Stomper. We have known knowns and known unknowns. We also have unknown knowns and unknown unknowns. So I think that's a great way to put it. There are so many things that we're just not sure about. And even the things that we think we're sure about as far as science goes. I love science, but I think that there are a lot of things that have been rediscovered many times, or for example, the nature of water, I think is something that is really fascinating and kind of suppressed or not really looked into enough. And I think that's for a reason. And there are a lot of things, for example, the cures for cancer that we know there are a lot of cures for things that help cure cancer or prevent cancer that are suppressed because of money wise. But as far as the AI goes, I don't really want to get into a big discussion about that, but I see the AI at this point, it's kind of like Google. You can't trust it. It depends on who programs it. It's got a narrative to promote. It's going to stick with its narrative no matter what. You can't convince it of anything because to me it's programmed. Perhaps there are some that are more sophisticated than others that may have reasoning ability, but I'm sure that they have limits on it, and it's not allowed to go beyond a certain realm of thought, or admit that you're right or wrong. And depending upon who programmed it and who's paying for it at this point and who's in charge of it, whose ads are running on it and who's benefiting from it. So to me, AI is just, it's just like Google to me. You can't trust it. And yes, with Rumble, well, Dan Bongino, I believe, was a pretty big stock owner in Rumble from very early on. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he actually ended up in the administration and that now he's back on Rumble. And I don't trust Rumble any more than I trust YouTube. People think Rumble's better than YouTube. No, it's the same people. It's the same thing. Maybe for now they're letting us have a little bit more free speech on Rumble, but it's the same people. That's my opinion about that.
That was well stated where you said AI can't go outside its programming or its parameters. And that's why I brought the topic up, because we're talking about the alt-right and being wrong, but continuing to be wrong and not changing and repeating, being stuck inside those parameters. And so we're going to go over, I keep saying that, think, change, repeat. I love that theme, Ashley. Any thoughts that you have on this?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of comments in the chat, and a lot of our discussion here is that this is something that is prevalent in today's day and time. So use it judiciously and be careful. If you are doing if you are doing an internet search and you get the AI response, then try to find maybe something else that you can compare that to or check it with, and don't just take it for granted that is the correct answer. I mean, I was pulling up just some basic articles when I was trying to do my episode on Vietnam, and I was trying to cross-check that with what I found in my older printed books, just to make sure that everything was lining up. And so I think, but like what Karen was saying is, with the Google search, it's that way as well, because they have such control over which websites and which answers and what the search engine is going to feed back with you. So it's very similar in that way of just being careful about what we are, exposing ourselves to and the information that we're taking in. And it's a challenge. Once again, back to the amount of information that's out there, the amount of narratives and the motivations of people that are influential in providing news and stories and whatever that is on all sides. It's a very challenging time.
All right. Well, let me go through a couple of quick little fun things before we get into the virus stuff. So here, this is a funny one to me. U.S. Defense Secretary won't confirm or deny use of kamikaze dolphins in the Strait of Hormuz, right? And I had a funnier article, but somehow I didn't get the link sent to me from my other computer where I pulled it up. But this is actually a serious conversation about whether or not Iran is using kamikaze dolphins. And Hexeth is denying it. Here we go. I cannot confirm or deny whether we have kamikaze dolphins, but I can confirm they don't. That Iran doesn't, right? Hexeth said the defense secretary was speaking with a straight face, but appeared to be well, I don't know how that was written, but at the same press conference, General Dan Keane made a wry remark. It's like sharks with laser beams, he said with a smile. What do you guys think about this kamikaze dolphin thing? Like, how would you do it? And do you take it seriously, or can we just laugh about this? Again, no fear.
I'm going to jump in here. Just laugh about it. I mean, anybody who remembers the Command and Conquer series, okay, in Command and Conquer Red Alert 3, okay, they had armored dolphins, and the dolphins would swim up next to the ships and would plant sea mines against the ships and swim away. So no, come on. I mean, look, clowns have a very respectable service, and they entertain kids and everything else like that. So I hate to use this term, but this total administration is absolute clown show. I mean, absolutely ridiculous.
It's another fear thing. Are we supposed to be scared of dolphins?
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's so stupid.
Here's one from military.com. In 2000, this goes back quite a ways, the Islamic Republic acquired a number of dolphins from Russia. I'm sorry. One specially trained to attack enemy ships. I can't. Ashley, help me out here.
Sorry, but that reminds me of the Facebook videos that show cats and tanks driving down the street conquering the cities.
Yeah, one of the questions that I have is why? I don't know why this kind of stuff is put out into the zeitgeist. Like, why talk about dolphins? Why consider doing this to dolphins? I have no idea. It doesn't really make very much sense to me, and I've been wondering that ever since I saw that article put out there. What are they doing? What are they talking about? It's weird. It's just weird to me, and that's what has left me wondering, what purpose could that possibly serve? I have no idea.
Well, I know the defense.
I have a guess.
Go ahead, Karen. I was going to say the proposed defense is to keep a bucket of fish on the boats. They just throw them out in the water so they go away from the boat before they blow up. I don't know.
Well, okay. Being a conspiracy world veteran, there are a lot of theories and people who did interviews and things, people who say they're super soldiers, that they're dolphin human hybrids and things. And then there's also people who there's a lot we're seeing disclosure now, quote, fake disclosure. I don't trust it for a second. Okay. But supposedly fake disclosure for anybody who wants to buy it. I don't at all for a second. Like I said, we've been going to have disclosure that I remember since the Clintons were the first came into office. And then the Clintons were going to do it. Jimmy Carter says he saw a UFO when he was in the Navy on a submarine. So there's a fairly famous story about Jimmy Carter seeing a UFO. And that would have been he would have been in the Navy probably in the 50s. He was president in the 70s. So I think that there are a lot of stories about UFOs under the ocean. And then there's the mermaid lore and the siren lore. And so you've got a lot of lore and legends and myths and things about sea people, sea creatures, being from another realm. And you also have the UFOs coming out of the earth, from the water. There's a Bermuda Triangle. There's a lot of talk about cities under the ocean and bases under the ocean. There's stories about underground tunnels that run from off the coast of California all the way under the United States that are waterways that are used. So there's a lot of lore in the UFO and conspiracy community about the sea creatures, dolphins, dolphin hybrids, and I feel this is really insulting to dolphins, because dolphins are amazing, intelligent. I think they have much more going for them as far as feelings and community and communication. They may be as intelligent as we are. They may be more aware and have more senses than we do in a lot of ways. So I feel bad that dolphins are being made fun of that in this way, but that's what I think they're using the dolphins, because it leads to other trails that may be of use with the disclosure and things, or with things coming up out of the ocean. And so those are the tie-ins I see with dolphins.
I had an audio clip that an audio clip I forgot to load up, but it's an actual Bushism. George Bush said this in real life. He says, "I believe the fish and the human being can coexist peacefully." I'm sorry.
You see, I knew it. SeaWorld is a Mossad CIA psyop, and they're training the dolphins to turn around.
Let's get this out there.
SeaWorld is cruelty to animals. It truly is.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to crack some levity here.
I know.
Karen. I'm not making. I know. I've been to SeaWorld, and I'm not trying to rag on SeaWorld at all. But it's just like, I am aware, like during World War II, okay, that the Russians did work with both dogs and bears to deliver charges to blow up German tanks and German positions. So the use of animals in warfare has been around for a while. As far as this UFO stuff goes on, I just want to say this piece, okay? The history of what we call UFOs is not from outer space. It has nothing to do with outer space, okay? In 1923 in Germany, Hitler and his hierarchy were introduced to the Deutsches Vril. The Deutsches Vril is a witch coven group, and there were 8 witches of the Vril that were introduced to them. And it was then that the NSDAP locked into them and worked with them by force to introduce, and they got introduced by the fallen angels. And from the fallen angels, they received the technology that produced the Hannibal 1, 2, 3, 4, Die Glocke, which is the bell, the anti-gravity device, and other devices. And the Hannibals are UFO shaped. They were equipped with 20 and 30 millimeter cannons, top and bottom. They were able to take off vertically, land vertically. They exceeded 1,200 kilometers an hour, which was 700 miles an hour. And the technology allowed them to make immediate right turns at speed. And the first instance was a bombing raid over Germany that the B-17s were intercepted by the Hannibals, and film was taken of them. The crews, when they returned from their bombing run, were interviewed. The films were seized, and that crew was dismissed from duty and was sent home under threat of never telling anyone what they saw, under penalty of death. After the war was over, okay, film was captured, and I have videos of the Hannibals actually taking off and testing grounds and everything else like that. We're getting into 1946.
Yeah, let's not get into a history lesson.
But no, but this is important to understand. Okay, Operation High Jump. The United States military went down to Antarctica with an aircraft carrier, multiple destroyers, a contingency of troops, both American and also British and Russian. They went down there. Okay, they got intercepted in Antarctica by the Hannibals. Several destroyers were sunk, and the flotilla went, after many pilots being killed, many planes being destroyed, went back, okay, with their tail tucked between their legs. Admiral Byrd and his diary were seized. He had a interview in Chile, not Chile, Argentina, sorry, where he discussed what had happened. The whole UFO premise is a fraud. It's a fake. It's our technology. We've worked with the Germans. They have been building these things. They have shared that technology. The fallen ones have been introduced, and they have been doing this stuff out at Area 51 and other areas. This is not conspiracy. This is just, it's madness. It's all earthly technology that's been given by the evil one, and they're using it to deceive people. And this UFO disclosure stuff by Trump is just another distraction to give to people so that they're not paying attention to what's going on.
That's what I wanted to jump to next. I had this ready to go. I'm glad we kind of segued into that topic. Did you have anything, Ashley, before I jump over? I just want to show people where they can go look at this themselves and give them some food for thought.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is where you can go. It's war.gov. They didn't waste no time in that. It's not defense anymore. war.gov/UFO. And it's just important to note that this is also another, in my opinion, I'll stress that, in my opinion. So this is based on Trump's, his program to look like he's being, disclosing stuff. But if you read here what these things are, all these pictures you can see, and again, going back to my, they're fuzzy little dots. I don't know what they are, back to the virus analogy. Where now, I can say with quite a bit of certainty that they do what they do. These are fuzzy little dots. They're not very good. I mean, they could read, your cigarette package from outer space, but we can't get a clear picture of one of these things. I don't know. You tell me. So it looks like we're disclosing everything, but no, we're not. The materials archived here are unresolved cases. Well, where are the resolved cases? Can we see those? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to disclose the resolved cases. I don't know. But meaning the government is unable to make a definitive determination on the nature of the observed phenomena. The Department of War will continue to conduct separate reporting on resolved UAP cases as mandated by the statute. And Karen, you talked about the ones with the water. They actually call those USOs. I don't know. We've been chasing UFOs forever in this community. I'm not real big into the UFO thing. I think I have my own spiritual thoughts behind it, but we're not making this a spiritual show today, so I won't go there. But any thoughts on why they're doing this disclosure? I think the only reason they're doing this disclosure, and they're sharing very vague photos that you can't really tell what it is. It's a little dot. It's to portray Trump as being a transparent president and keeping on one of his promises, because they're only showing what they say is the unresolved ones. Well, why don't you show us the resolved ones and tell us what they are? Or they could be driving fear, because if they've resolved something and said, oh, this was a Russian experimental aircraft or something, then there wouldn't be this idea that, oh, these come from outer space, So I don't know. Let's go to Ashley first. What are your thoughts behind why they're doing this and what it means?
I don't know. This is a real I don't know situation, other than obviously, like we talked about earlier, I believe manipulation or information dissemination tracking is happening, gauging responses of the public. I think all of those things are possible here. And but I don't fully understand. I have seen some people that have good theories about what is, or at least possible theories about what is coming from this, which I think that there's a lot of things on the table, but honestly, I don't know. And I'm not somebody who has been really following a lot of the UFO stuff. Obviously, I liked the X-Files and I did want to believe, but then I kind of feel like I don't know. I don't know that we necessarily get the truth. Not that I don't believe there's a possibility for something to be out there. But I think once again, like we see with so many other things, there's too much information out there that makes it very difficult to discern what is going on. We know we have people like Bob Lazar, who are whistleblowers, who are going on the Joe Rogan program, and some things they say are kind of interesting or seem true, and then some things they say are bogus. So was there information that was planted out there, or some sort of government agency that removed his certification from the schools that he went to because they're saying, like, this guy never graduated, he said he did. So it's always like this for us to not really know what is going on. Is there stuff that they were doing at Area 51 that was exposed by Annie Jacobson and a lot of other people? I'm sure that there was. Is it related to military weapons and planes and things like that they don't want us to know about? Probably. But it's just so frustrating to me because there is so many different stories. There's so much history now, dating back how far? The 40s, 50s in this country, as far as the UFO conversation goes. And then you have the whole My Labs, where people who have abduction experiences, but then when they start looking into it, perhaps there's a military component, perhaps there's experimentation done on them, perhaps it was some, mind control stuff. And I'm not saying it's any of these things. I'm just saying I don't know. And it's a very murky field for me.
Yeah, I think going back to the theme of the show is just fear not. Okay. Understand there's a lot of noise out there. Do your own research, have fun with it. Interesting stuff. Any more from Karen or Levi?
I do. I have something. Karen, you want to go first?
Okay.
Sure. Well, I think if you really want to see some interesting disclosure type stuff, and it's probably a lot of hooey, also go back and check out Project Camelot videos. There's a lot of really interesting old quote unquote whistleblowers back in the about 20 years ago at Project Camelot was 15, 20 years ago. Really a lot of interesting things. And a lot of the people who were in the military ended up living in a certain place in Nevada called Pahrump, out in the middle of nowhere, Pahrump, Nevada. All these old military fighter jet pilots and Lockheed engineers and bigwigs, and that all were quote unquote UFO whistleblowers. They all ended up living out in the desert in Arizona, which is I thought was kind of interesting. One of them was talked about on American Unplugged this morning, which was John Lear. So there are a lot of interesting stories. And if you look at in 2001, just before 9/11, there were disclosure hearings, and you had a lot of actual military people that got up and swore in front of Congress for hours and hours. Dozens and dozens of military people telling about, and other types of people, airline pilots and things, talking about their encounters with UFOs and experiences, and some even with beings that they had to deal with, some of the beings from crashed aircraft. So I do not know what's going on with this disclosure, but I do know that there's been a lot of quote unquote disclosure for a very long time, including hearings in front of Congress 25 years ago. So, and then you had the To the Stars with Tom DeLonge, which was a lot of operatives, a lot of intelligence agency operative people. And so you've had all these attempts and discussion and whistleblowers in Congress off and on. And I think some of them actually have seen things and a lot of them haven't. And I don't know what they're seeing and I don't know what the UFOs are. I do think that there are things we don't understand what they are, definitely. I think a lot of it is our own military.
Oh, got a little freeze up there. Is Karen frozen for y'all as well?
Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead and we
she
can
just
come back
froze.
to her when she's back.
Okay.
Okay. What I just wanted to say was this, okay? When you look at it, you've got the German Hannibals, World War II. You
Hold
got
on. You
Operation
froze.
Hyde.
You froze up on our end, Karen. So we went on. We could let you wrap it up if you want, real quick. She may have a delay on her end. Can you hear us, Karen?
I can now. Yeah, I had a lot of buffering. I guess I was repeating myself and things.
Oh, okay. Well,
It says
did
having
you have
trouble
any?
connecting.
We lost you for like 30 seconds, so I'm not
Okay.
sure where you left off.
I was saying that actually on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, I think it was Bill Clinton was talking about doing disclosure. So, you know, it's been talked about for a very, very long time. This is nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back to my point, I think that they're not really disclosing anything of significance here, other than to make Trump look like he's keeping one of his promises, and then driving, could be used to drive fear. And go ahead, Levi, pick up where you left off.
No, well, like I said, you have the German Hannibals in World War II, seen by the pilots. You have the Hannibals hitting the United States fleet in Operation High Jump 46 and 47. Okay. Then something interesting started to happen in 1950, which was and I just want to read these to you. Okay. And in the beginning of this, also, you remember the great 1952 UFO invasion of Washington, D.C., where the Hannibals appeared over the White House and the Capitol building. But look at this indoctrination from 1950 to 1959. The baby boomers, the soldiers that came back from World War II, Destination Moon, Flying Disc Man from Mars, The Flying Saucer, The Invisible Monster, Rocket Ship XM, 1951. Captain Video, Master of the Stratosphere, The Day the Earth Stood Still. 5. Flight to Mars, I'll Never Forget You, Lost Continent, Lost Planet, Airman, The Man from Planet X, The Man in the White Suit, Mysterious Island, Superman and the Mole Men, The Thing from Another World, Two Lost Worlds, Unknown World, When Worlds Collide, 1952. All Rain, 1st of April 2000, Captive Woman, Invasion USA, Monkey Business, Radar Men from the Moon, Red Planet Mars, Zombies of the Stratosphere, 53. The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T, Abbott and Costello Go to Mars, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, Cat Women of the Moon, Commando Cody, the Marshal of the Universe, Flight to the Moon, The Four-Sided Triangle, Invaders from Mars, It Came from Outer Space, Lost Planet, The Magnetic Monster, Mesa of Lost Women, The Neanderthal Man, Phantom from Space, Project Moonbase, Robot Monster, Spaceways, The War of the Worlds, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Devil Girl from Mars, Gog, Killers from Space, Monster from the Ocean Floor, Riders to the Stars, The Rocket Man, The Snow Creature, Strangers from Venus, Target Earth.
We're not going to go all the way up to current, are we?
No. This is just the 1950s. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. There's over well over 100 movies of indoctrination about space, spacecraft, UFOs, everything else like that during the 1950s. It's a psyop. They were indoctrinating people with this idea that there were alien worlds, alien people, okay, space. All right. You also then have at the same time, you have all the Apollo. Then you have the Operation Mockingbird famous video, how Congress is having one of their infamous hearings, and the operative that they're interviewing tells them that it's better that this be behind closed door session. That if you tell a lie to people long enough and hard enough, they're going to believe it. And they've been indoctrinating us since 1950 into this idea that there's little gray men from Mars. Okay. They even came out with the saying, Karen might chuckle at this, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. I mean, get real. I mean, everything that they're doing, they have been indoctrinating us and preparing us for this fraud that they're going to put on the people. It's not the great deception that everybody claims in the Word of God. That's a false translation of the original Greek. It's a working of error, not great deception.
Well, I'll tell you,
King James put out. But the thing is, okay, what they're doing with the UFO disclosure is nothing but a distraction, and they're trying to take away from the fuel shortage that's coming, the food famine that's coming, the economic problems that are coming. I'm not stirring up fear, but they're trying to keep people's minds busy on everything but what they should be paying attention to, and that is the destruction of their lives.
Amen to that. And I would say that there's a couple trolls out there that like to follow me around now. I guess that means I'm an actual influencer now, Karen. We're influencers because we have trolls.
Yeah, my daughter calls me an influencer to her friends. Yeah, my mom's an influencer.
Yeah, my little troll out there that's been following me, trying to goad me into an argument. He would say I'm from Uranus, but anyway. So before we move on here, this is a good time to move on to the virus thing. But I did have one more little kind of side topic, if you guys want to get into it. But if you want to jump into this, what is it? Virus thing? You want to do it's about Alex Jones and what's going on with him, and I wanted your opinions on it.
Yeah, please do. Let's bring
let's do that. I mean, we can skim over and give our opinions on this this fear not virus thing that's going on, and then we'll do a deep dive. Levi, you and I will do that in the foxhole, just you and I. And I know you've spent a lot of time preparing a lot of stuff, so I don't want to throw that out.
No, that's fine. No, so, that's fine.
All right, so we got Alex Jones. I guess the Onion. It's kind of the Onion doesn't officially own it now, right? It's kind of still in court, I believe. It's been changing by the freaking week.
At this point, from what I understand, the bankruptcy receiver,
which is the Onion,
the Onion's paying. This is the court. No, this is the court. This is the court appointed receiver. Okay, he has ordered, and this happened on April 30th, May 1st. He has ordered the Alex Jones facilities in Austin, Texas, to be completely shut down. Close the door, lock the door. You're done. Okay, this is why he came out with the Alex Jones News Network. It's a new thing, a new website, new everything. He's doing his shows on Facebook. He's doing his shows on Rumble, and another one. Okay.
Let me jump in here and read the articles and throw the questions out, because I want to get those out there. So I've got two little articles. And I know what you're kind of getting really deep into. Let me get this out there first to prime everyone, and then we could jump into that, Levi. This says, when was this from? May 4th, right? May the 4th be with you. Alex Jones InfoWars site has finally shut down for now. And this is from cut.org. I've never seen this place before, but hey, there you go. And there's some questions I had, because I looked at the structure of his company. And I think it's kind of crappy But I really don't think that what they're doing is legal. And I would like to ask y'all about what you think about the constitutionality of it with our current, not the constitutionality, but the law aspect of it. Because this kind of stuff isn't really covered in the Constitution. This came later with laws. But let's go ahead and read. I highlighted some certain things. It says Jones InfoWars platform shut down quietly over the weekend after a court-appointed receiver, as you were talking about, Levi. That's why I wanted to stop you and read this first. Refused to continue paying for the outlet's operating expenses. So they're talking about a receiver paying for Alex Jones to keep the lights on, right? And then it says over the weekend, Jones launched a new endeavor, the Alex Jones Network, as you were talking about, continuing his controversial brand of broadcasting under that banner. Jones said he did not own the network. Keep that, just pin that thought in your mind. Jones did not own the network, but that he was just a news director telling his legal foes to piss up a rope. Okay, so now we basically got him saying, Alex saying, I'm not paying. We're not paying because I don't own the network. It's kind of like if somebody does a Walmart employee assaults you, you don't sue the employee, you sue Walmart. You see what I'm saying? And I looked into like who owns it. Here we go. This is the crazy part. Right now, Alex Jones remains the majority and effectively the sole owner of InfoWars through his private company, Free Speech Systems LLC. Now, if you don't know what an LLC is, and this is why people who have dealt with contractors that are an LLC that have stiffed them will know you can't sue. You can't sue the person who stiffed you for like, I got hit for $14,000. Guy walked out on me and stopped showing up. $14,000 freaking dollars. It doesn't do me any good to sue the guy because he's an LLC. I have to sue the company. But an LLC, it's a limited liability corporation. And that separates the individual from the business. So if I were to sue his business, all he has to do is go out of business and I'm stiffed again. And I've wasted my legal fees. And that's how Jones has positioned himself in his InfoWars platform. And let me finish going through this, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on whether this is, I can tell you right now whether it's moral or not, but legal and ethical stuff like that. I want to get your opinions on it. Although multiple bankruptcy courts have explored forcing a sale to repay the 1.4, so basically I think they're going to force auction it off or whatever, to repay the 1.4 billion in defamation judgments. Judges have so far blocked every proposed auction, leaving Jones in control, at least for the moment. Alex, and here's the key takeaways, and I think that's all I have to read, and we'll go around the table. Alex Jones funded InfoWars in 1999 and still controls it today. Free Speech Systems, LLC, is the parent company that legally owns InfoWars, which is owned by Alex Jones. So it's a circle, right? FSS entered, it's Free Speech, whatever that was. I forget the acronym. Free Speech Systems, that's right. Entered Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2022, while Jones filed personal bankruptcy soon after. So he's covered both angles here. He's bankrupted himself, filed bankruptcy for himself and for his LLC. As of February 2025, a federal judge blocked a second auction that might have transferred ownership, keeping Jones at the helm. Sandy Hook families are owed $1.4 billion in defamation damages. Ownership could change if court forces liquidation. And one thing that it's probably in here somewhere in this article, but I think that the Onion was going to be awarded it, or trying to get awarded it, because they're going to promise to start paying X amount of dollars a month towards that settlement. But I don't see, and I'll give my opinion, and then we'll go around the table. I don't see that they can legally do that to Alex, as much as I kind of detest the fear porn and stuff he does and his flip-flopping. I used to watch Alex all the time. He's brought a lot of people over to the alt media, which is a great thing. You know, God can use bad people to do good things. So I think if they nail Alex, I didn't like how they had this ridiculous award anyway. I didn't agree with the court's determination on the defamation. I don't agree with any of it, but this is going like one step beyond, where he has done all the legal stuff required to separate himself from his own company. And then he bankrupted them both. And there's nothing they can do. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it. And that's just the fact that that's our current law, is what I'm saying. So I think that, I don't know. I think they're really boning him over, even though I don't like the guy. I don't think it's legal what they're doing. I think the courts are going to do what they do, but we all know that judges don't always stick with the law. They make their own decisions. So let me go to Ashley first on this one. It's your turn first, Ash.
I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint because once again, I don't really know. I see a lot of things with this whole situation. We have the event, Schmandy Schmook, that nobody can talk about. I think that's weird. I think that people, if you are in a country that is supposed to have freedom of speech, particularly if you are not threatening or harassing someone, I think that you should be able to ask questions about whatever events are being reported and are transpiring. So I don't know what happened with what he did, even if he was wrong in his supposition or what he was saying about that particular event, that it was totally staged or that those people never existed or whatever. I don't understand the problem with that. I know that part of that was that the family members were harassed based on that, supposedly, but that still would not be the fault of him for saying that, particularly if he did not call for harassment or violence against those people. So I find that the entire situation to be very strange. And then you see so many people, if you even talk about it on certain platforms, then you are shadow banned or your channel's deleted. Why? And then one of the largest judgments as far as a financial award ever, $1 billion, then the entire court system seemed, or the court, the proceedings seemed very weird. It seemed like other people have talked about, and I'm not an expert on this, and I'm not saying that I am, but people talked about his legal team wasn't good. And why? Like, you're a very famous figure. Why wouldn't you have a legal team that could represent you properly in a free speech case? And now we've got this back and forth with InfoWars. I honestly, I don't know. I will say that I think something stinks about every part of this. I do not understand exactly what is, what's what here, but I think that the message that I received, and maybe that was what somebody's, magician sleight of hand, they wanted to neurolinguistic program me and make me think, don't talk about Sandy Hook, because that's kind of the message that I was receiving. But I don't know, or sometimes it's about a precedent being set. This is what happens to you when you talk about something that we don't want you discussing, that the entity doesn't want you talking about. Honestly, I have no idea. That's just the ramblings of an insane person. So back to you, Jason.
And we'll go straight to Karen. Your thoughts, Karen.
Oh boy. I was never a big Alex Jones listener. I always knew who he was, and I listened to him occasionally, but I just found his bloviating. By the time I was really ready to give him a good chance, his bloviating was just over the top to me. And then half of his show was spent selling products. And I just couldn't stand the infomercials, the health products constantly. I did order a few of his products, and they would seem like they're pretty good quality, but it just got to be too much for me. So I never took him seriously. He was just over the top for me, kind of like a circus performer in a way. But I know, I understand he did have a lot of great guests, and that was the only reason I would listen to him usually, was for the guests. But as far as Shady Nook goes, there's something fishy. Something is rotten in Denmark in that Shady Nook thing. And I'm not going into the details about it because I don't know. But there's something rotten there, definitely. And the whole trial with Alex, because of Shady Nook, also stinks. You know, it's also rotten, like Lutefisk or whatever. We've talked about Lutefisk quite a bit on this show, and I worked in a restaurant where I had to serve Lutefisk, and it's some nasty stuff. Anyway, I think the whole trial was setting an example of him, and it reminds me kind of the vaccine court, you know, where people can supposedly get some kind of recourse for vaccine injuries, but the rules of evidence are not the usual rules. People really aren't allowed to present evidence or defend themselves. And it kind of seems like what went on with Alex Jones, but I really don't know. And this day and age, I think the courts have been for sale. Most courts have been for sale for a very long time, at least to some degree. And so that may very well be what's going on here, or setting an example of somebody. I'm not really sure. And actually, I don't really care all that much about it. I don't care that much about the fate of Alex Jones, honestly. Okay. I'm done. Sorry,
Right,
I guess I'm entertaining Levi.
I was just, you know, same here. Whatever happens to Alex happens to Alex. He
I
dug
don't
his
trust
own-
Alex Jones. I know a little bit about his family background. He'll flat out tell you his parents were, you know, a CIA or Illuminati or whatever he wants to call them.
Go ahead, Levi.
Listen, I used to I used to watch Alex Jones too, and he just became so blasphemous and raunchous. I mean, where else could you go in America where you could get manhood enlargement pills and enemas in the same place? But InfoWars. The one thing I wanted to bring up, and I have experience with this because I owned one. I owned an LLC. Okay. Limited liability corporations are not old. They are just about 50 years old. The first LLC was created in the state of Wyoming in 1977. So you know right then and there that these evil miscreants of the Federal Reserve, the bankers, the politicians, and the judiciary, which is bought off, created this entity as a loophole to get around taxation and business things. Okay. And I just saw a very interesting story yesterday, which Jason, you'll probably talk with Eric Peters on, was the GM split with Delphi and what they did through creating Delphi to rob the GM employees of all their pension money. But I digress. Okay.
No, email me that, man, because that's something I'm not tracking. Very interesting. But go ahead.
Okay. But Alex Jones was smart to create the LLC that he had his InfoWars under. It eliminated him from personal liability. And when they sued Alex Jones, they didn't sue Alex Jones personally, but they had to sue his business, his LLC. So any money that they could get in any type of judgment could only come from the LLC, could not come from him. Now, he filed bankruptcy protection in case they wanted to come against him personally. So he used the law as a shield. And see, this is why the bankruptcy codes, which again come after the creation of the Federal Reserve in their current forms, were created because wise businessmen use the bankruptcy code to shield themselves from losses, keeping all the money that they gain. So this is nothing but a huge, wild game of illusions with what's going on with Alex Jones. And on the surface, people think that he's going to pay this $1 billion. But there's no way they're going to get $1 billion out of his LLC. They're going to get what they get, and that's it. They're not going to be able to come after him personally, and Alex Jones is going to walk away and continue on with his program.
So the way the way that works, so people understand what Levi's talking about, is that the LLC is the company. The company owns, now part of it is the company owns all the equipment, the studio, the computers, everything. They own everything. Maybe even if he was smart enough, he would have put his personal vehicles and everything under that business, because you get tax breaks for that, which means they could come and take his personal car.
Well, I
assigned to
don't
the business.
know.
And
I
they
don't.
auction it off, and then you're not going to get $1.4 billion from Alex Jones' studio that belongs to his company. So
If Alex Jones was smart, I don't know this, but I would bet that he has either a revocable or irrevocable trust set up for his personal, so that he himself is penniless and the trust is protected from any type of legal action because it's not associated with him. And this is what all the rich people do. They don't have their money sitting in the banks in their names. They don't have all their stocks in their names. Everything is done through a revocable trust. So nothing is attached to them. And the trusts are sheltered in certain ways from taxes. They created this system, and it's up to us to go in and find out how their system works and use their system against them. We don't set the rules. We don't make the game up, but we play by their rules and set their rules. The only difference is we don't play them to hurt people.
So when I got out of the military, when I was going through my Soldier for Life program, it used to be called ACAP. It's like classes you must go through before you exit. I did one called Boots to Business, and they talked about exactly what you're talking about, Levi. Our instructor, rather than just giving us a few resources, he was experienced. He lived in a neighborhood. He's prior military, retired, lived somewhere close to Savannah in a really upscale neighborhood to provide his kids with a better education, supposedly, because more money gives us better education, right? That's where your property taxes go up every year, because we're getting better education, aren't we? Anyway, he talked very in depth about this. The trusts are very important. He had 3 daughters. I think it was 3 daughters, and they played volleyball, they played softball and soccer. So they all played 3 sports, and their shoes alone, because it's an upscale, place, they can get $300 Nikes, and that's the shoe for this year. Next year, oh, they don't want these, they want a different shoe, and everyone has to be uniform. So this guy was spending all this money, and he told us a story. He was sitting at a soccer game next to some rich ass, sorry, the language there, it's like rich lawyer or doctor or something, just shooting the breeze with him, and saying, man, I can't afford these uniforms, because it's 3 different sports they play. It's 3 different sets of uniforms. They change their shoes every year. They change it all the time. They change it. And these things, it's costing me a fortune. And the dude says, the guy he's talking to says, you're doing it all wrong, man. He's like, what you do is you take a certain amount of money, you put it into a trust for them, and then you get the tax exemption from that. So it's like, how do you, what's it called when you file your taxes, when you do your itemized deductions or whatever? So if he puts a certain amount of money in a trust for their school expenses, he doesn't get taxed on that money, and he uses that money to buy their stuff. He just can't take it out and use it for himself, right? So he can say that all this money was used for this. So it's a real easy way of itemizing your stuff. And I'm getting off on a tangent here. I got to stop. The point is that he told me that the wealthy are wealthy for a reason, because they know how to work these rules and basically skirt taxes, because taxes are anywhere from 35 to over 50%, depending on your income level. And you got to understand you're paying taxes also on everything you buy, right? So it can get even higher. So anyway, any more things on the Alex Jones thing? I thought I'd just bring it up and get everyone's opinion.
The only thing I have to say about Alex Jones is he was for it before he was against it, but he was against it before he was for it, because he was for what he was against, that he was against for what he was for. And he just was it Karen or was it Ashley who said that he always interrupted his guests? I mean, it just you can't listen to him anymore. You just can't. He's controlled opposition. If the system was real and they really wanted to punish him for supposedly what he said about Sandy Hook, okay, Alex Jones wouldn't be near a microphone right now. For the things that he has said, okay, Alex Jones would have came out and said he's not suicidal. Read between the lines. But they have him here. He's still here. He still has a voice. He's still doing what he's doing. And there's a reason for that. It's because he is controlled opposition. They feed him.
All right. Well, let's move on. We don't have much time to cover this virus thing, but we'll go around and give our thing. And then Levi and I will do a deep dive. I'll do it as a Foxhole episode because I'm just really trying to do some Foxhole shows. And you ladies are welcome to join if you want. I'll let you know when we're going to do that. Because I know, Karen, you probably have a lot to say on that. But I want to start with this first. This goes back to our do not fear or don't fear theme here today. I just want to bring this back here. So they're kind of bringing this back, but we've seen the scare of mosquitoes, right? And this is from this is a 2026 report. These states are going to have the worst mosquito problems this year. And I want to, we've covered the mosquito stuff and the Gates releasing his GMO mosquitoes and all this other stuff and the fear of disease and everything. You know, if you do, you can look at the alt-right media and get into that fear and panic that, oh, they're doing this. But you know what? Let me read this here. So it's talking about, you know, which states are going to have the biggest mosquito problems this year. And of course, they're going to put a global warming tag on this as well. You know, they always will. Okay. According to Sadie Ryan, PhD, and a host of other, tags or whatever titles at the University of Florida, this spring's El Nino system, El Nino is on your coast, Karen, El Nino, El Nina. I forget, one's odd years, one's even years, right? Something like that. But anyway, it's expected to bring extra rainfall and flooding to the southeastern U.S., which will only accelerate the rate at which mosquitoes breed. As climate change pushes northward in the U.S., warming temperatures and unpredictable weather events will continue to extend mosquito seasons in other states, especially for species like the Aedes and the Culex. I know I butchered that, which transmit the dengue virus and West Nile virus, she explains. Now, where have we seen this dengue and West Nile? This is what Gates touts for his mosquitoes to try to curb that. And he gets paid God knows how much money to drop millions and millions of mosquitoes on unsuspecting cities. Okay. Of the 200 types of mosquitoes, and this is where you fear not, right? Of the 200 types of mosquitoes that live in the continental United States and territories, only 12 spread germs that can make people sick, says Casey. So don't let mosquitoes derail those outdoor plans this season. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, and I won't go through the different states, there, none of them will surprise you. You got Louisiana, you got Georgia, of course, you got even upstate New York, because that's really swampy up there. I was surprised when I got stationed up there. But again, fear not. You know, they're using these things to drive fear, to get tax money, to push narratives, to do things like that. The chances of you getting dengue fever here in the U.S. from mosquito bite is slim to none. The chances of you getting something else, we've also covered them, actually, not conspiracy theory, but using mosquitoes or attempting to use mosquitoes as a vaccination method for people and animals. Actually, that's something we covered recently. They're talking about doing it for animals. So, you know, take it for what it is. What are y'all thoughts on that before we, I mean, are you going to stop your summer plans because you're scared of mosquitoes? that they're going to be higher this year because of global warming, and they got these fevers out there that usually exist in Africa, but we need to be scared of it here. What are your thoughts on it? Karen first, I guess.
Well, we're talking about bats in the chat. There are a lot. I know about quite a bit about bats. I used to teach a unit on bats, and the kids loved it. It was a lot of fun, and bats are good for insects. I don't see nearly as many bats as I used to. When I was a kid, you'd see bats at sunset, just like you'd see birds in the daytime. You'd see bats coming out of the trees. I don't see that so much anymore, at least not in California. No, I'm not going to change my plans. However, the mosquitoes have been very, very thick the last couple of years, and they're little tiny, tiny ones, in which they tend to get in the house through the screens. So these are different kinds of mosquitoes than we used to see, and there are a lot of them. Another thing I saw somebody mention on another show was rattlesnakes, and I've seen that there have been more deadly rattlesnake snake bites this year in California than ever in history. So apparently the rattlesnakes numbers are increasing, and the deadliness of their bites is increasing as well. And then we're hearing about ticks, also a lot more ticks and a lot more tick-borne diseases in pets and people. So I don't think any of this is just happening by accident. And we know about the activities of Mr. Gates and others. And then you've got the screwworm also, which I think there are screwworms that are being bred that would be that would make the other screwworms that they mate with sterile, or they're sterile, something like that. So whatever insect, probably some kind of flying thing the screwworm is, in that stage when it mates. So I think that I just think it's not nice to mess with Mother Nature, not nice to try to fool Mother Nature, and more problems end up happening from these things than would otherwise. So I don't have much else to say about that, except I just wish that they would just stop. Just stop.
Are they real rattlesnakes? Because I just found this 3D printed rattlesnakes revealed.
No, they're probably AI. AI rattlesnakes.
Is there anything they won't do? All right, let's go to Ashley.
Well, I know
They're
we are
deadly,
kind of
whatever they are. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. I know we're kind of running maybe a little bit short on time, but the hantavirus conversation, I want to at least touch on that. So I wanted to say that a couple of things, I know that Levi has some deep dive information on this, but there are just a couple of things that stood out to me as being, I don't know, interesting, odd, whatever. So years ago, I watched the television show Alone. I think they still do it. And if you haven't watched Alone, it's quite a good show. This is where people are they send like 10 people out to the middle of nowhere. So the first couple of seasons were on an island off of Vancouver, and they're supposed to survive and only have emergency contact information. They choose 10 items that they can take with them to live out there. And then whoever stays out the longest is the winner, and they win money or whatever. But it's very difficult because they don't have, sometimes the loneliness is like the worst part for them. Anyway, so on Alone, one season was in Chile, and one of the guys was basically starving. So he wanted to hunt mice to eat because they could at least capture some mice. But they had instructions from the company that they could not, or at least very much should not, eat the mice because of the risk of hantavirus. And then the other instance or exposure that I had to this topic was back when Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead at the same time. So this was February of 2025. We got the news that Gene Hackman was found dead, and then so was his wife. And that story has been super strange. He was known to be quite a bit older than his wife, Betsy, and he supposedly had Alzheimer's. So I don't think that was necessarily shocking, but like they had a dog that died. They said that they died maybe 2 weeks apart. It was just really weird. But ultimately, the information that we got out about that, about Gene Hackman's wife, Betsy, I believe is her name, that it was the hantavirus that killed her. And I thought it was, I don't know, it's just odd. It's not something that you commonly hear about. I was listening to another show recently that said it can be associated with cruise ships sometimes. Then we had the discussion, they were talking about it on America Unplugged today, as far as like the exposure to rat feces and urine and saliva, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't really know. I just wanted to point out the Betsy, Gene Hackman's wife, and other instances where I've heard hantavirus discussed, and to say that, once again, it's another weird situation. Is this information dissemination tracking? Is this, a palpation of public perception? I feel really proud of myself for coming up with that right now. But just to see where people are at on virus fear, virus conversations, what links get shared, like who knows what's really going on here. But once again, as I am want to say, something stinks.
Yeah, and real quick before I throw it to Levi, and I know we only have a few minutes left, and I want to say, Karen, you're a trooper. I know you had a bad headache today, and you stuck it out, so I appreciate that. And I won't read this. We'll save this for the deep dive. I will just give you a summary. This is from NPR. You would expect NPR to push the fear to drive masking and vaccination and lockdowns and social distancing, because that's what they did throughout COVID. And I will just say that in this article, which we'll cover in the deep dive, they actually say you should not be afraid. So that's kind of weird. And they give some actual statistics and stuff, and then talk about how the statistics you're hearing in the right wing, the alt-right media, the fear porn media, how those statistics may not be correct. But and that was, to our fear not. What do you got?
Can I stick
Levi?
my 2 cents in, and
Oh,
then
yes,
we'll let
go
Levi
ahead.
go?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Karen.
My 2 cents. I remember a decade at least ago, maybe 2 decades ago, there was a big uproar about hantavirus in Arizona, New Mexico, I believe it was, in the Southwest. But this was supposedly spread through aerosol means, which probably would be from rodent urine or feces. So it was aerosol. And of course, there were some deaths, but we weren't about to lock down and wear a mask, So I am not the least bit worried about contracting that virus, not the least bit. And I think it's a lot of fear porn. And I think that the best thing we can do is just let it go. Don't pay attention to it. Let it go. Don't stoke the fear. Don't talk it up, and just let it pass right on by, like so many of these other things that they've tried. The monkeypox, they tried. Remember that big Ebola thing that happened several decades ago? Everybody was going to die of Ebola. Then it was monkeypox, and there's been several other things. So I hope this one just washes right on by. And yes, palpating was a very good word, very scientific, medical.
It was more
Nice
of coming
job.
up with the double P's that I was proud of.
Yes.
Because I was saying to Spirit in the chat, I said I'm bad at puns and pun runs, and I'm also not great at coming up with like the triple, I don't even know what we call that, but like
I think
3
it's alliteration.
Alliteration, yeah. Not my strong suit. So thank you.
Very nice. Okay, Levi, let her rip.
Real quick, Levi. We're limited on time here, but
I know.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get into that.
What we talked about the fear aspect, and how they're using the right wing media now to do the opposite of that was very profound, what we talked about on the phone before the show.
Yeah. What when this cruise ship first came out, I've been paying attention to it, and I've been watching it. And like I said before earlier today, I've been watching it on social media. Okay. Now, if you've been paying attention ever since COVID, they have been getting real sloppy with the events that they have planned and staged. And when you look at what's going on with the hantavirus outbreak that's going right now, there are clues all over the place if you look. But what I'm finding interesting is you've got a mix out there on social media. And a lot of people are taking the attitude that I'm not going through this again. I'm not wearing masks. I'm not getting shots. No way am I going to get a shot, everything else like that. And you also have what I believe are AI bots or paid operatives who are putting out information regarding the hantavirus, a vaccine, mRNA vaccine for it, what have you. And there's a lot of fear porn that's going on. And what I'm finding is people are regurgitating this. And what I'm seeing is that they're not having to put out a narrative because they've got the people doing it now. They've got the people building up the narrative. They got the people building up the fear. They've got people building up this into more than what it is. And they're just sitting back and they're just feeding little bits of information. And what's happening is people are taking it and they're bloviating. They are embellishing. They are just outright lying, deceiving people through social media. And it's spreading like wildfire. Okay. All the stuff about this hantavirus. And so what I've done is I've gone back and I've traced all the hantavirus information. I've got all the documents. I've got all the patents. I've got everything. Okay. And I'm seeing this as this is just a huge psyop to draw us into another lockdown, and they're using us to do it. It's they don't have to do any more narratives. They don't have to do any fake stuff. They're letting us do it. And just stop it. Stop repeating the narrative that is going on out there. It's promoting fear. It's promoting gossip. It's promoting lies. And these people are literally driving themselves into lockdown, literally driving themselves into fear and anxiety. And it's just amazing to watch. And people like me who are bringing them the truth, bringing them the bona fides, bringing them the receipts, we're getting lambasted and silenced, just like in COVID again, because the people want to believe the lies and not the truth. And it's just amazing to watch. Now, one thing I do want to bring up with the ticks, okay? And here we come with the evil miscreant Bill Gates, who has been releasing infected ticks with alpha-gal and the other virus into the wild. He's been releasing them on his property. That you can find the information for that easily. Okay. What I wanted to share with you is there are plenty of natural plants that you can have around your property, or you can actually get these oils and you can spray them along your foundation, or you can spray them in your gardens. And it repels ticks. It's all natural, so you don't have to worry about killing your grass. You don't have to worry about pesticides. You don't have to worry about, growing 3 legs and 5 eyes and anything like that. But
5 eyes.
lavender, rosemary, garlic, chrysanthemums, mint, wormwood, marigolds, all of these the ticks cannot stand. So if you want to beautify your lawn with some of these flowers, okay, you can go ahead and plant some of these and it'll help. But you shouldn't be in fear. Okay, you shouldn't be in fear. As far as the mosquitoes are concerned, okay, both China and the United States militaries have mosquito drones. So, I know that Jason has talked about those and shown pictures of those. Okay. Look, if you're going to live, don't live your life in fear. God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but of power, of love, and of self-control. And if he is in your life, he will guide you. And if that little voice inside you says, don't go here, Don't go there. Don't go out today. Take this route. Don't take this route. Listen to it, because you don't know what you're going to avoid. And if you're in line and something's happening in the shopping line that's holding you up, don't complain, don't murmur, because it could be keeping you from being in the right place at the wrong moment. And that's just, but there are ways of dealing with the ticks and dealing with what we're dealing with, but don't listen to the narrative that is going on out there right now. It will drive you nuts. It'll drive you crazy. People are just fear mongering like mad. Okay.
Yep.
And any little information that comes out is just being run away with. But there is a method to the evil miscreants' madness and what they're doing. And if you actually just sit and watch, you can pick it out and you can see where they're going with it.
Yep.
And we'll get into that more when we do the Foxhole show, Jason.
Yeah, I will make an announcement, and we will run that on the Foxhole channel as well as the Knights of the Storm channel. All right, Ashley.
I just wanted to say that possums are prolific eaters of ticks as well.
Mhm.
So perhaps making your yard or property a little bit more possum friendly. And there's some misconceptions out there that possums can be disease ridden and carry rabies. They actually supposedly have too low of a body temperature in order to be able to have rabies. They are generally friendly, peaceful creatures. As we know, they're often said to play possum in order to avoid conflict and not get into something with another creature. They also generally get along with your community cats. So just to say that if you also are worried about ticks, that maybe kind of setting up a little possum friendly type environment could be good, because they eat a ton of ticks.
And if you are in Texas or if you're in the Southwest, okay, if you see armadillos in your yard, they'll eat the ticks as well. And for Karen, she had mentioned the 90s. It was the 1993 hantavirus outbreak in the Four Corners, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico, where 33 people, 33 confirmed cases, and 27 people died of the hantavirus. And that's where it all started.
I remember that.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's put a pretty bow on this and wrap it up. And we will, like I said, we'll announce the deep dive into this, and you ladies are more than welcome to join. I'm going to do a quick round of plugs, and then Ashley, if you don't mind doing the shout outs, and then Karen, you close us out. Sound good?
It's a deal.
All right. So I first want to plug Scott Helmer because I had an amazing time with him last night. Quick story. JJ, he has autism and he has problems with loud noise. He was in there covering his ears for the first half hour, but smiling the whole time. And Scott's a phenomenal. He's not just a music player, but he is a performer. He made the whole thing a great experience. Uh-oh. Okay, my camera just went wonky on me. Okay, so yeah, and he ended up playing for like an extra half hour, so we got extra showtime. But little JJ got out on the dance floor. It was a very, very small venue, not a whole lot of people there, and he got out on the dance floor, the first one on the dance floor, and all the ladies were out there dancing with him. So I just wanted to share a couple pictures as we do our plugs. And it was for a charity event, which was Healing Hearts Horses. And there's my wife.
That's a great
Melissa.
picture. I love that.
Yeah.
Glenda looks very happy.
Yeah. And JJ loved the horses. It rained right after this. We were the first people to arrive and the only people to get to spend time with the horses because they had to take them. They were thunder. They were scared of the thunder. So they took them away. And here is Scott playing. My phone does not work very well inside because my flash is broken. But that's Scott playing right there. He actually auctioned that guitar off. I bid, what did I bid on it? $600. I was going to pay for that guitar. Brand new guitar. He does one every show. He auctions it off, and then the people, whatever charity, gets to keep the money. Another guy really wanted that guitar, and I could tell that no matter how much I went up on it, he was going to outbid me. So to save him a little bit of money, which maybe I could have helped the charity out, but you know, the guy had a little daughter with him, so I was like, yeah, I'll just stop bidding now. And he got it for $700, and he got it signed by Scott. And then this is JJ with the lady that was sitting next to us dancing, and he ended up having all the ladies dance with him at one time. Like, yeah, it was great. But anyway, I'm going to continue the plugs. Ashley, talk about your show. This is your channel here.
Yeah, so just plugging away. I have adjusted the time, so I've been doing 8:30 Eastern on Thursday evening. And last week I had a good conversation with Billy Ray, and have had some other, you know, good discussions with people, and I have been enjoying that. So thanks to everybody who has checked that out. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'm going to continue to improve and provide better content.
All right. And then, of course, you can find everything over at our website here. So I think that's enough plugging. If you want to go ahead and take care of the shout outs, and then Karen, you lead us out.
Jason, I just want to say one quick thing. Just one quick thing. The CDC did hold a press conference at 4:00 this afternoon. Eastern time.
So just now.
Just now. NPR is reporting that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention said that the agency had deep experience with the Andes strain of the hantavirus, offering assurance to the American public that there was low risk for a widespread outbreak.
Yeah, that's what the article says if I got into it, but we're going to save that for
so if anybody wants, you know, I just wanted to bring it up so that if anybody wanted to go and watch it on YouTube, the press conference is recorded on YouTube, so you can go and watch it if you want.
All right. Well, over to you, Ashley.
All right. I was back in the chat over there. It's been really fun
hard.
today.
It's hard to stay out of the chat, isn't it?
This is the best chat. It's the best chat ever. Okay. So we had Little John, Nostradamus, Skunk Hollow Rose Gardens. I'm Marty with a donation. Thank you. Wiltabox, LT Oracle of Truth, Frankie M, Sweets, I toke and I know things. Or I toke and know things. Bronx Stomper, Ronnie Omelets, D2T, Anna, and Andy. And I wanted to say congratulations to them. They are growing their family. So very, very happy to hear that wonderful news of the amazing blessings. So congratulations to you both. We're very happy for you. We have Robe Ann. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Do Not Obey, who also had a donation. Thank you so much. We have Sam SMU Haskey. We had Wheezy from What is Truth Pod, Fog Dude, Brandon Bennett. Do you already know this? Doc Spoiler. Don't forget, you can join Doc's movie night tonight if you are alternating between that and Tiger Tales. And he also does a Monday night production as well. So you can hit Tiger Tales on Saturday night, Doc on Monday night. We'll leave it up to you, but shout out to him. We had Billy Ray from America Unplugged. We had Dave from the Third Rail podcast, Nature Boy, Spirit of the Age, Big Ron, Dustin Helm, Weekend Jay Hunter, and I think I caught everybody. If I didn't, my sincere apologies. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification bell.
All right, Karen, over to you.
Okay, I want to remind everybody that I'm the assistant to DJ Angry Tiger tonight for Tiger Tales on the Angry Tiger's Den Rumble channel at 8:30 Eastern, and he plays a set list, and then we take requests. So come one, come all, bring your any kind of music, whatever you'd like. There were quite a few suggestions made in the chat today, which is always fun. And it was a great chat today. A lot of fun, a lot of good ideas, and some good times. So it was great to see you all and to share that sense of community with you all and not be talking so much doom and gloom. And Levi, it was great to have you today. I always appreciate your insight and your positive outlook and frame of mind. And with that said, I say have a great week, everybody. Keep your sword sharp, keep your armor tight, and shine your light.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.